So we're now going to have a look at our second project using our Spring Delights. This time we're going to use our different bunny rabbits, and we're going to introduce some of our foundation shapes. So we're going to use our graceful foundation dies, and I've made a card blank here just by using that beautiful foundation die. Folded my card in half, put the die over, and then away we go. Now, to make life easier, can you see I've put a black line down my scoreboard just to be able to help me to straighten everything up. So pop that on. So now we've got that black line. I know I can follow that all the way down, and I'm scoring down the middle. So just on there. And don't worry, it doesn't mark the front of your card at all. So fold that over, and that's going to just, once we've burnished it, it's going to give us a perfect easel card. Now, to create the front, we're just going to add a bit of wet glue, pop that on there. Now, wet glue is easier when you've got a shape card like this, because you can get, look, can you see, you can follow all the shapes, all the nooks and crannies, and follow the shape. So we then want to pop a solid white one over the top, just line that up. So once it's lined up, pop it on and press it down nice and firmly so that it doesn't come back off. So popping that on, just press it down, there we go, and then I've got my finished easel card. Now, one of the things I like to do with my easel cards is make sure that the inside and the outside match. Unless I'm going to go completely white, I'd like them to match. So I've got this lovely peach and gingham paper that we're going to pop on the outside. So we can again just go in with our wet glue and pop this on. So just again, it's so much easier because you can fill in all the spaces. Maybe you could use a tape pen, it's entirely up to you, but this is gorgeous. So just find all your spring coloured cardstock out and just mix and match them together. So there is my first layer, and then I'm going to go in with a gingham layer. So I just thought this was quite fresh and quite Eastery, quite spring-like, but it also worked really well with the colours in the rabbits. So pop that one on, and that's going to go just line up, and already it's drawing us down into the card, isn't it? It's giving us that focal point and just making us look in the middle. Now, as I said, I do like to match inside and out. I've glued these two together so I could trim off the top, and so the mechanism, the sort of fold mechanism, isn't obstructed. Again, still nice and flat, but at least we've got a mirror on the inside of what we've got on the outside. So pop that on there, and that's going to decorate the inside, and as you can see, it works really well. Now, I found my fancy edge circles, and we just found a pattern paper with a bit of grass on, just out of one of my previous papers, and that's going to work really well as somewhere to put your bunny rabbit on. Alternatively, maybe you can create your own backgrounds with your inks. So pop those two together very easily, just with a bit of wet glue with fancy edge circles. Really does lift it, doesn't it? Can't you see? It just makes it look so pretty. And flat glue all the way, just popping those on there. I like the white round here because it really draws your attention. So I'm going to put tape on now, and what I want to just double check is I want the tape to go vertically so that it's adding a bit more strength. If it went horizontally, it might bow with the fold in the card. So if we put it on vertically, it will strengthen the front of the card, and that's what we want. We want something that's quite robust. So take the back off there and pop this back onto the front, and then we have the front of our card made. So pop this on here, and there you go. Look at that. Doesn't that look pretty? It's really fresh and really spring-like colours. So once we've got to here, we could be going with any of our little rabbits. Now, what I've done is I've used the same graceful dies to make my little stop, to cut out my sentiment, and that's going to make a stopper. So you might have been thinking, why would I need such small dies? But this works perfectly, doesn't it? So pop off the back, and that's going to be the stopper. So find where the card sits just right. I always like to find where it sits, and then you can add your stopper. How about that? That's lovely for a card base. You could make up a few like this before you put any of your little characters on. So you've got the main die and the foundation die, but we're just going to use the main die for now. And I've cut it out the charisma You get this as a free download. So take your charisma and then you can tape it down. Look at that, perfect fit every time. Our charisma never lets you down, does it? So pop the die over the top, make sure I can't see the ink, and then we can tape it down. That's going to go onto my die cutting plate. We have our hoppy die, and I've also cut an extra one out to create the flower, and that's there. Isn't she cute? Really, really lovely. So we can use these two together, and I think it looked really nice. So what I'm going to do first, because I've already got one, is I'm going to create some decoupage, and I'm just going to trim out the flower and all the foliage. So trim it out, and it's really easy because most of the cut lines are already there, and they're just you just need to carry on going through the pips and cutting them all out. So all the way around, cutting that out, and then we'll be good to go. So just follow those pips, just takes a minute, and once you get there, we should be able to use that flower separately. So the rest of the bit that you've cut out, we can use, and let's cut off his little tail as well and create a bit of decoupage with that. So again, I'm just following all those little snip lines and cutting that out. There we go, we've got the little tail. Right, so now we can clear up a bit, and you can see I've already cut the foundation layers out. So we've got the one for all ears, and we've got the one for our little hoppy. So we can pop our little die cuts like this. Now I always put them together in a certain way, because if I stuck all ears on first onto its foundation layer, then I stuck hoppy onto that foundation layer, and then when I overlaid them, can you see we'd get this white border showing, and I don't want to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the two white layers together, use my other dies to make sure I've got my positioning right. So that might be a little bit tight, but then we can just pop them together. So use my card blank will help me with my positioning. So that one wants to go. So I'm going to put all ears, so it's just coming off the circle. It's really nice to break up those lines, isn't it? So stick that one down first. Only need to put the glue down one side because the rest is off the edge of the circle. So pop that on just there, and then we can get our second die cut. So using the top die as a guide, we can just position it where it looks right. So once we've got that there, I can then just put my wet glue on and pop it back where I'm happy with it. Then it's just decide which order you're going to put your dies on. So I've got my all ears, just shape it, just give it, really does give it more character if you add that shape and dimension. And our hoppy with lots of shape, and then we can pop them onto our card. Oh yeah, don't forget to shape that tail if you're going to use it. And also I'll show you, look at this, drag from the outside into the middle with the flowers, and it will really add some dimension. Turn over, press in the middle, and look at how dimensional they become. So perfect. So I'm going to stick my rabbit on, put some wet glue on. Actually, I think it's going to look better with hoppy on first and all ears on second, so we'll do it that way around. So bit of wet glue behind there, pop that one on just like that, there we go, and then followed by our larger rabbit. So then, do you remember the decoupage we've cut out, we've created? We can use that as well. So first of all, little tail, you definitely need your tweezers for this, otherwise my fingers would get in the way. I'd have more glue on me than on the tail. So pop that one on. So we've created a little bit of decoupage there. And then we'll get the flower, make sure you get the right one. Such pretty artwork, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. And that will then go over the top of the original flower. So pop that in. I think actually a little pearl drop in the centre there would also look nice. Just pop a little pearl drop in. Now we can either put this flower onto the rabbit, or as I'm going to do now, we can put a little blob of glue behind and stick that just there to add on as an extra accent. How about that to both of you, with love?